So today there was yet another incredible, as in not at all credible, press briefing at the White House. And normally, when I talk about the White House press briefings and answer questions, I normally don't play what Trump's White House press secretary Karoline Leavitt says, because most of what she says is not worth repeating, and I'm not trying to give a platform. But today was an exception. Take a listen to her response to this question from the Daily Mail's John Michael Raish.
President Trump has talked twice in recent days, once at the Kennedy Center and then to Reuters again last night, about canceling the election. Why is he talking about this?
I believe you're referring to the president's interview at Reuters last night. I was in that interview. It was a closed-door interview. Obviously, there was not audio or video. The president was simply joking.
I don't know about you, but I find the sitting president of the United States joking about canceling the next elections absolutely hilarious. Absolutely. Just joking there. Now, the reason, of course, I'm clearly kidding, that this is, of course, alarming and not funny at all, is that Trump keeps bringing up his desire to cancel the midterm elections. And he's doing things to try to make it harder for people to vote. Effectively, he's trying to end our nation's democratic experiment altogether. But the real reason I wanted to play that is because when Andrew Feinberg from The Independent presses her on the issue again, she just attacks him personally instead of answering his question.
Americans for generations have fought and died for democracy, for this democracy. Are you saying that the president finds the idea of canceling elections funny?
Andrew, were you in the room? No, you weren't. I was in the room. I heard the conversation. And only someone like you would take that so seriously and pose it as a question in that way.
I mean, I think a lot of people take the president of the United States threatening to cancel elections pretty seriously, especially given he repeats it and has said it many times. Okay, today Leavitt got the very first question of the briefing to none other than anti-trans activist Riley Gaines. In a room where every seat is coveted, the White House gave her two, and those are kind of special seats on the side where normally the staff sits. One for her and one for her husband so we could show Leavitt their baby. And everybody loves a baby. But again, it's a little absurd, this whole thing. There were some real journalists, though, asking important questions in that room today, and Karoline Leavitt, of course, did not answer them. So I'm going to take a crack at a few of those. There were a lot of questions, of course, about ICE today. So I'm going to start with one of those. Nandita Bose from Reuters, go ahead.
There have been multiple instances of American citizens being detained by ICE, and I'm wondering what the administration is asking the agency to do. What steps is the administration asking the agency to take to ensure that Americans are not wrongly arrested?
Nandita, I hate to break it to you, but the truth is that the Trump administration is doing nothing to prevent U.S. citizens from being detained by ICE. In fact, today the ACLU filed a class action lawsuit against the Trump administration, alleging that ICE isn't just detaining U.S. citizens, they are racially profiling. The lawsuit points to specific cases of multiple U.S. citizens who say they were unlawfully detained by ICE, despite repeatedly stating that they were citizens. It's the same thing we've seen in city after city after city after ICE floods the streets. And the Trump administration seems completely fine with that. Now, today there were also a lot of questions about the supposed health care plan that Trump unveiled. I've already talked about that a little bit. So I'm just going to take a crack at one of those. Mary Bruce, ABC, go ahead.
20 million Americans in recent weeks have seen their health care costs soar. Can he assure them that if this plan is put in place, that they will be able to cover those costs?
No, of course he can't. Because, Mary, this is the plan, the whole thing. One page of it is just Trump saying the great health care plan. That's what they're calling it, as if that deems it true. I mean, that's it. This is the whole plan right here, the other page. Now, way back in Trump's 2016 campaign, he promised that he would repeal and replace Obamacare on day one. In 2020, he said that he would unveil his health care plan in 2 weeks. In a presidential debate with Kamala Harris in 2024, Trump said he had concepts of a plan. Now, today, Trump is claiming he has a framework of a plan. And this is it. This thing I just showed you. And if he really, the thing is, this is the sad thing. Much of it is sad. But if he really wanted to do something that could have an impact, he could work to extend the Obamacare subsidy premiums. Because right now, 1.4 million Americans have already dropped their health care plans because they can't afford it anymore. And that number is going to grow. Okay, final question. The other big topic of interest today at the press briefing, of course, was Venezuela. Because today Trump met, as I talked about earlier, with Venezuelan opposition leader and Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Machado. Many believed she was at the White House to push President Trump to support a democratic process in Venezuela, which Trump has not prioritized so far at all. So So the press naturally had lots of questions. Weijia Jiang, CBS News.
Is it still the president's assessment that it would be very hard for Ms. Machado to leave Venezuela because he says she lacks the respect and support in that country? And will he raise that with her today?
Well, I'm not sure what he raised or what his assessment is, but I mean, I think her chances of having Trump's support likely just got a heck of a lot better because, of course, today she gave Trump her Nobel Peace Prize. She gave him the literal medal. But a big question I have is whether Trump even has that power, given he's locked arms already with Delcy Rodriguez, one dictator for another right there.